Chapter 130, Heart Demon. Don't think too much, since the last generation of Cangchon hegemony blood was able to be invincible in the world. Then I believe that you won't be too far behind even if you're worse. What you need to do now is to defeat Li Laoqi and then make a name for yourself in the Heavenly Dao Sect Disciple Acceptance Ceremony. And when you enter the Heavenly Dao Sect, then that's the beginning of your cultivation path, Emperor Dan reminded, and then said no more. Listening to Emperor Dan's words, Cangchon's eyes grew more and more determined. I possess the Cangchon hegemony blood. I won't be inferior to anyone. Cangchon's eyes flickered. He couldn't help but think of the tribulation map that he had watched at Mount Fendu, in which the previous generation's Cangchon hegemony blood, called Bo, was so powerful that it had ignored even the heavenly tribulation. Cangchon's blood boiled, since he had such a powerful bloodline as the Cangchon hegemony bloodline. He definitely couldn't bring shame to this bloodline. Young people were always competitive, and Cangchon was no exception. Jin San Xiao, Lei Yun, Liu Suifeng, and the others were no different. After a moment of silence, Liu Suifeng suddenly asked, Cangchon, I heard that Li Laoqi is likely to break through to the 9th level of the Jidan stage. You don't have Jidan right now. Are you sure you can defeat him? When Hor Qianrong heard this, she immediately looked over with worry. Cangchon smiled faintly and said, I'm naturally unsure alone, but don't forget about that demonic monkey by my side. Its current strength can be even stronger than mine. We've teamed up to kill quite a few demonic beasts at the 9th level of the Jidan stage in the Forest of Demonic Beasts. In the Cultivator, the demonic beasts also belong to the Cultivator's battle force. After all, some sects are specialized in trespassing to control the demonic beasts to fight. After all, if you have the ability to deter the demonic beasts, that naturally counts as your strength. You mean that golden-furred monkey? Jin San Xiao was surprised when he heard this. He had also seen Xiaojin, but he only thought it was an ordinary demon monkey. He didn't expect that little guy to be so powerful. Flower thinking wrong, Lei Yun and the others had also seen it and were shocked at what they heard. Cangchon smiled and said, Xiaojin is not an ordinary demonic beast. It now already has the cultivation of the 3rd level of the Jidan stage, and is about to break through to the 4th level of the Jidan stage, one-on-one. Even the demonic beasts of the 9th level of the Jidan stage can't do anything to it. If we join hands, Li Laoqi will die for sure. I really didn't expect that you still have such a demon monkey. According to what you said, even if you didn't break through the Jidan stage now, I'm not your opponent anymore. Lei Yun couldn't help but be depressed at his words. Cangchon laughed. Xiaojin is Xiaojin. That's not my battle power. You don't need to be concerned. Jin San Xiao but shook his head and said, in the cultivation world, do not think so. Spirit beasts are also a kind of strength. There is a person on the submerged dragon list who owns a powerful spirit beast. Others did not say anything. Yeah, in the cultivation world, as long as the power is controlled by you, that is your power. Even if you have an immortal weapon now, that is still considered your strength. Liu Suifeng also chimed in. Cangchon smiled and nodded his head. He really didn't care much about Li Laoqi. What he paid attention to be wary of was still the Li family. After all, it was impossible for the Li family to watch him defeat Li Laoqi right in front of the crowd. It would make the Li family lose face. After Jin San Xiao, Lei Yun and the others knew about Xiaojin's power, they also stopped worrying about Cangchon, and the few people began to drink freely, talking and laughing. Soon after, a soldier in military attire suddenly arrived and gave a military salute to the people present. By the order of the 9th princess, my humble servant invites all the young talents to gather at the palace school ground 3 days from now, the soldier said solemnly, saying that he handed each person an invitation separately before turning to leave. Cangchon received a golden invitation, somewhat puzzled. On the contrary, the other 4 on the side were unchanged, as if they had expected it, and a pang of doubt ran through his mind. Looking at Kang Chon's puzzled gaze, Jin Sanshao smiled and said, "The ninth princess just returned not long ago. This time I'm afraid that she wants to invite all the peak powerhouses of the young generation of Great Tang to gather together." 9 princesses. Kang Chon sniffed with even more doubt in his eyes. Who was this 9th princess, surprisingly inviting all the young generation youthful powerhouses of the Great Tang Kingdom to gather together? This stroke could be considered vast. The moon and stars were infinite. In front of the Heavenly Dao building, Kang Chon parted ways with Wuxia 3 people. These 3 people were now residing in Lei Yun's residence. Lei Yun was the son of the Zhenin King, and the Zhenin King had a residence in the imperial capital that had been bestowed by the royal family. The few people agreed to meet at the Jin Mansion 3 days later, and then head to the Imperial Palace school ground together. Afterwards, Kang Chon returned to the Jin Mansion with Jin Sanshao. On the way, Kang Chon received quite a bit of information about the 9th princess from Sanshao. This 9th princess was very uncomplicated, having successfully worshipped in the Heavenly Dao sect during the last Heavenly Dao sect's disciple acceptance ceremony, and was now an inner disciple within the Heavenly Dao sect, with a status that far surpassed the Heavenly Dao sect's millions of outer disciples. Rumor has it that the same forces within the Heavenly Dao sect are in constant strife, especially the 1 million outer disciples and the 100,000 inner disciples. Because the number of disciples is too large, there is also constant strife over the cultivation resources given by the Heavenly Dao sect, and a variety of forces gradually appear. What the 9th princess represented was the power of the Great Tang country's cultivation community in the Heavenly Dao sect, and she had returned this time because she wanted to see the Great Tang country's current generation of young strongmen, which was why the palace schoolyard gathering had appeared. Early in the morning, a ray of sunlight shone into the imperial capital. Kang Chon woke up from his cultivation. He greeted his grandpa and went to find Jin Sanshao. Yesterday, he had given Jin Sanshao the list of medicinal materials he needed, and this fatso said that he would be able to get them today, so he was extraordinarily anxious. These ingredients were used by the Dan Emperor to refine the 9 Revolutions Great Restoration Pill. It was said that this kind of pill was specially given to those who were at the peak of the 9th level of the Jiden stage to restore their true essence, and that just one of them would be able to restore all of Kang Chon's current true essence. In that case, when Kang Chon crossed the tribulation, he would not have to worry about the depletion of his true essence, and would be able to ensure his peak state at all times, and the tribulation would naturally not be able to help him. In today's cultivation world, there were only a handful of alchemists who were able to concoct this kind of pill, and it was fortunate that Kang Chon possessed the Dan Emperor, or else he still didn't know how to face the upcoming heavenly tribulation of the Jiden stage. I say, brother, have you been in such a hurry? The materials I prepared a long time ago. Here, seeing Kang Chon come early in the morning to ask for alchemy materials, Jin Sanshao was incomparably depressed as he threw Kang Chon a cyan-colored bag. The stuff is all inside. This cyan-colored bag is also for you. Jin Sanshao left after saying that, as the young master of the Jin Mansion, he was almost half the master of the Jin family. Many of the Jin family's industries needed to be handled by him. He was very busy. Kang Chon got the materials and returned to his house. Kid, the 9 Revolutions Great Restoration, Dan old man needs a month to refine it. Don't disturb old man during this month. Emperor Dan picked up the materials and went back into the reverse heavenly cauldron and started to go refine the pill. 1 month. A trace of anticipation flashed in Kang Chon's eyes. In 1 month, he would no longer need to suppress his cultivation and would be able to completely advance to the coveted Jiden stage. At that time, he would also be able to fly by sword. Kang Chon still remembered that when he was a child, he saw the dashing appearance of the heavy iron city's city lord flying with his sword, and was very envious in his heart. Now, he was as close to this realm as he could get. His heart was suddenly incomparably thrilled and excited. As the Heavenly Dao Sect's disciple acceptance ceremony approached, more and more young talents rushed to the imperial capital. And even some good cultivators also rushed to the imperial capital, ready to witness this grand ceremony. At the same time, the various restaurants and inns in the imperial capital were also overcrowded, and young cultivators could be seen drinking and carousing in the restaurants everywhere. Kang Tian had come to the imperial capital for 2 days and had not yet explored the imperial capital. So after learning that the Dan Emperor would need a month to refine the 9 revolutions great reparation pill, he took Xiao Jin to explore the imperial capital. There were countless scenic spots in the prosperous imperial capital, and there were even many ancient relics that had been passed down for thousands and thousands of years. And the 4 main avenues of the street were littered with all sorts of money-selling grottos, pleasure houses, martial arts fighting arenas, and food streets. Moreover, compared to other places, the entertainment venues here are all top-notch. The Yingqin House was the topmost affair venue in the imperial capital, and there were branches of the Yingqin House in quite a few cities throughout the Great Tang Kingdom. And Kang Tian noticed that quite a few young powerhouses had gathered here, but he didn't go in. It's still the girls at Yingqin Lu who have big butts. Suddenly, a familiar voice came. Kang Tian was slightly stunned. Then his face was full of astonishment. He saw that the mad warrior Shen Taji was in the Yingqin building, and one of this guy's claws was touching the buttocks of an enchanting beauty. Kang Tian looked at this guy's comfortable and lewd look. In his heart, it was hard to believe that this was the mad warrior Shen Taji, who had shaken the Great Tang Kingdom. He couldn't help but shake his head and turn around to leave. As Kang Tian left, Shen Taji in the Yingqin building turned his head back, his gaze looking towards Kang Tian's departing back, a trace of doubt flashing in his eyes. Apart from the Yingqin building, the imperial capital's martial arts arena was also very lively, gathering quite a few cultivators during this period of time. Many young powerhouses were sparring and competing here, attracting many cultivators to stop and watch. "Who dares to fight with me?" An incomparably domineering voice resounded in the martial arts arena, followed by a domineering figure arrogantly sweeping the surroundings with an unbeatable look in his gaze. He is the hegemonic warrior Wu Gang. Rumor has it that after being defeated by the hegemony warrior, Wu Gang has risen upwards and has now cultivated the Wu family's hegemony spear to the grand completion realm, and is looking out of the corner of his eye in the younger generation. A clamor came from the crowd. As Kang Tian passed by the martial arts arena, he couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Seeing this fellow Wu Gang again, he was still so domineering and arrogant, but it was worthy of his name of hegemonic warrior. It must be said that this Wu Gang has good qualifications, although he lost to him that time, but his confidence was not hit. And now his cultivation has already stepped into the 5th layer of the Jiden stage realm, which is much more powerful than both Hua Wanyong and Yu Sui Feng. Cultivation is arrogant. The 2 of us brothers will battle you, suddenly, to raise asterisk asterisk asterisk. Asterisk asterisk of light came, and 2 young powerhouses in the sky came with their swords, coldly confronting Wu Gang, its blade warrior and sword warrior. Seeing the appearance of the 2 people, a cry of shock rang out among the crowd. Then everyone got excited and excited. The sword and sword double Jedi were actually going to battle the hegemonic man. This was definitely the peak showdown of the young generation. Everyone was immediately looking forward to it. Kang Tian could not help but be a little surprised when he saw the appearance of the sword and sword double Jedi. He mixed in the crowd and secretly watched the fight between the 3 in the sky. Teng Yijian and Teng Yixi to brothers qualification is also good, now both cultivated to the 4th level of the Jiden stage. To brothers join hands, may not be unable to fight the 5th level of the Jiden stage of Wu Gang. The 3 are listed among the 7 warriors of the Great Tang Dynasty. The same is the peak of the young generation of the Great Tang Dynasty. The fight is very intense. straight to the sky and the earth. The sun and the moon are no light. Kang Chon watched in secret amazement. With the strength of the three of them nowadays, even if he faced any of them, he was not sure of defeating them. After all, he had not stepped into the Jidan stage now. The cultivation gap between him and them was too big. After all, these three people had all formed the 8th turn Silver Dan, although they were only at the 4th or 5th layer of the Jidan stage. But it was enough to compare to those ordinary Jidan stage 8th or 9th layer powerhouses. If they didn't step into the Jidan stage, if Kang Chon wanted to defeat them, he would have to use all his cards to do so. In the sky, the three people's battle was incomparably fierce, and the crowd of spectators below were excited and shouting. The lively scene attracted distant cultivators to continuously converge. This peak battle was fought from morning to noon before both sides ended in a tie. This time the two sides fighting is mainly a consultation. There is no need to fight to the death, so they did not take out their real cards. Naturally, all have reservations.